major things in which the world and the country and those who have been protesting and advocating have been suggesting that they need. So we have to begin looking holistically at how we do the work that we do. It's a requirement by the federal government. It's a requirement by the state government. It's a requirement by the managed care organizations. So the business as usual, where we come, as clients come to us, that model does not work anymore. It's an outdated model. Even in developmental disabilities, Purvis, you see how Medicaid and others are requiring, and the state's requiring us to engage differently, because there's emphasis on looking holistically at the people we engage. Because if I treat a schizophrenic with a psychotropic medication, and he or she has no place to live, I can do them some justice, but am I really serving their needs? And if that schizophrenic is also homeless, if that schizophrenic is also suffering from hypertension and diabetes, and all I do is treat their schizophrenia, I'm doing good, but am I doing enough? This is the question of the federal government. This is the question of the state government. This is the question of the Louisiana legislature. And this is my question to all of us. Are we doing enough to meet the comprehensive needs of those we serve? That's the answer. That's the question, and we have to have answers for that. Last thing I'll say is, too much is given, much is required. We have to do to serve each other in ways that we've never thought of before. And that requires us to really think outside the box, communicate one to the other, and give each other grace and dignity as we try to create a new reality. And that new reality has started 8 years and 8 months ago, and it continues to this day. And so I'd like to bring up my right hand, who is currently the Director of Compliance. We recently had an audit, accreditation audit, and she and I worked very closely together, and she worked with many of you around making sure that we have the infrastructure to undergird the things that I've just talked with you about. And she will share a few words about our now and our future relative to how we undergird and work collectively to make a difference around the things in which we are here to do. So without further ado, Dean Herzog, do you want to introduce it? I want to make sure I'm decent at it all. If she does such a good job, I'll bring to you Rogers, as I call it.
Good morning. Amazing to be introduced by Dr. Sizer. I'm a little nervous now. I don't know. I don't know. But so majority of you in this room definitely played a critical role in making sure we were able to secure a CARF 3-year accreditation. With that took a lot of time, effort, diligence on you all's part. So a part of us being here today is to say thank you again for all that you have done over the years to ensure we were able to secure this 3-year accreditation. One of the comments from the program surveyor was the documentation that she reviewed from clinical services was one of the most comprehensive that she has ever seen in her time of being a CARF surveyor. And that really spoke volumes to what you all are doing in your clinics day in and day out. The sacrifices that you all have been going through, even during this time of us having to deal with COVID, being able to engage clients, adjusting to this whole virtual concept of engaging. And so definitely the work was noticed. Overall, in the CARF accreditation, we did exceptionally well, administratively and clinically. In the end, I believe we really only ended up with maybe about 11 recommendations, but it was definitely under 20 out of about 1,700 recommendations or conformance standards that were being reviewed. So give you a It was actually one of the best carp experiences I have ever had. And definitely a pleasant surprise working with each of you. I'm excited for what we'll be able to accomplish over the next 3 years. Because in 2024, they're coming back. And we will get another 3-year accreditation. No questions asked about it. And that will be largely because of all of you who are in the room today. All of your efforts from this point moving forward is what's going to help us make sure we get another 3-year accreditation. One thing that I want to make sure, and I said this in my email, congratulating everyone and thanking everyone, is just about the teamwork and the effort that we are putting in and working collaboratively with each other. In this CARP survey, the collaboration across departments and within the clinics was amazing. It was amazing. And even as I'm starting to go to all of the different clinics, I'm seeing the teamwork that you all are doing. And I just want to continue to encourage you all to keep that teamwork going, continue to work with each other, continue to make sure you are connecting to the reason why we are doing this great work. That is what's going to help us to make sure we continue to be great and push to greater heights and making sure that we are transforming the lives of all of the citizens in Region 8. We connect to that vision and we say, we want to make sure that everyone is able to reach their full human potential. And the way that we are going to do that as Northeast Delta is making sure that we continue that teamwork, exemplifying greatness and excellence, making sure that we are working collaboratively internally, but also externally. Making sure we are working with our contractors, whether that's MARC, Ravel Recovery, Goodwill, and also with prevention and wellness, our DD sector, and just making sure we are bringing all clients full circle, making sure they are receiving all services that they want and that they are entitled to make sure they can reach their full human potential. So we are here today to make sure we embrace and exceed the vision. That's what it's all about. And always remember to connect to your why and make sure you understand the purpose behind the work that you are doing day in and day out, and continue to keep up the great work that you all are doing. Thank you.
I'm scared to take this mask off. I think I have a little attention deficit disorder. This one I found on the floor. It's fine. Anyway. Here's my phone. And I want to tell you a little bit about our speaker, Dr. Larry Proctor. If I can see this really tiny print, and I'm hoping I can, because wow. I mean, wow. His academic experiences are grounded in athletics, physical education, recreational sports, health-related fitness, and exercise physiology. His present teaching responsibilities span the following courses. Oh my. It's like a paragraph long, but it's a bunch of stuff. He said he gave me permission to skip that part. Dr. Proctor's research interests examine the social economic status, environmental influences, biological expression, academic health and athletic performances, disparities, just like Dr. Sizer was talking about disparities. He also examines associations between various ethnic groups. Taken together, these areas of interest examine sociocultural influences on biological expression. These investigations involve testing and measuring biometrics and health-related and sport-specific variables of children, athletes, and the general public. As a first-generation college graduate, he is intimately aware of the power of education, including its impact on his financial security, health status, and civic engagement, as well as a wide range of family matters. Dr. Proctor is a recipient of the Frederick C. Hoffman Endowed Professor in Kinesiology and served in numerous administrative and staff-related capacities at GSU that include academic support, enrollment management, and accreditation. Additionally, Dr. Proctor's research highlights the critical importance of a racially diverse healthcare delivery system in American society, especially one which addresses the large gaps in multiple health-related disparities in people of color who are confronted with the challenges of growing up amongst low-income communities across America. To that end, his efforts to obtain grant funding, which would reach deep into the minority communities to address such disparities, can be seen through his authorship of funded grants in excess of $1.75 million. Furthermore, Dr. Proctor has served on the Board of Trustees of the Northern Louisiana Medical Center, Ruston, Louisiana, beginning in 2019 until present, serves as a board member for Louisiana Association Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance, and Board of Directors member for Darbon Woods Charter School Board. He has presented his research at local, state, national, and international conferences. Many of the presentations from his research and investigations have been published in peer-reviewed journals. The son of Mrs. Ruthie Proctor and Mr. Eddie Myers, he's from Cleveland, Mississippi. He is the fourth of 7 children with 3 sisters, Dorothy, Pearl, and Cynthia, and 3 brothers, Andrew, Dwayne, Don. He is married to Mrs. Kimberly Latrice Proctor, and they have 4 children together. Dr. Proctor and his family attend New Living Word Ministries in Ruston, Louisiana, where Dr. Jerry Baldwin is pastor. We're so glad you're here.
Good morning. Good morning. Man, I didn't realize I wrote all of that stuff on that bio. You try to make that stuff look good for academia, and then hope it goes well. You know, I'm the non-traditional kind of college professor, in that we believe in not just academic excellence, but we believe in social responsibility. So we don't operate just in the confines of the university, but I like to get outside the walls of the university, engage in the community, and have an impact, you know, impact lives. And so I'll start with this by saying that Beam LLC is a company that I came up with after I attended a conference that talked about this social responsibility in the community, not just academic excellence. You know, we could just teach all day at the university, but what are you doing outside of the university? What are you doing for your family? And then I got this from our pastor, our illustrious pastor. You know, what are you doing besides helping your family? What are you doing besides helping your family? So after a couple of years of being under Pastor Baldwin's teaching, he encouraged me to start this project. So I started it. I started it without funding, and he mentioned this to me. He said, "Well, you just do it, and the funding will show up," and it did. It did, and so Northeast Delta is not our first set of funding. We had some funding years ago when I first started this project, but I love helping, and I help in the way that I can, right? Love helping, and I help in the way that I can. So Beam, of course, stands for balance, empowerment, accountability, and then multiculturalism. It's designed to protect health status by providing fitness challenges. I figured out that, you know, as he was saying, you know, I spoke with Dr. Jocelyn Elders years ago, attended a function with her, and she was impressing upon me that the healthcare system that we have right now is a sick care system. You know, you only can get something from them when you're sick, and so you need to go to the hospital or to the doctor or something like that. She said we needed to change that, and so I was thinking about how to do that, and so, you know, we have to now take our services to the people, because many of those people are fearful of the healthcare system. They really don't want to come, and I'll share some of that today. They don't want to actually go to the hospital these days, not unless they have to. Not unless they have to. And so we designed this project to protect health status by providing these fitness challenges in churches, and I was trying to get at the African American community. So I said, what better way to get at them than churches? And so it was designed to protect the participants. So we cast a broad net and we asked everybody to get involved, but only a certain few get involved. And I like those that get involved. We call them the willing. Yes, we call them the willing. You know, so we've been doing this now for 15 years at our church, and only the willing participate. And guess what? They get the benefits. The benefits are for everybody, but only the willing get the benefits. That's what we've noticed. And so our church is roughly 200-300 people, but we'll have from 30 to 50 people join this fitness challenge each year. Okay. So somebody's. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So these are the tenets of the fitness challenge. We have a pre and post assessment. We'll measure about 10 to 12 different metrics, and in between the pre and the post, we'll have health awareness, and that's where I tend to talk about racial justice related issues, because we're not just dealing with health, you know, from the standpoint of going to healthcare facilities. I mean, we're dealing with our lives when we go to the grocery store, go to the post office, or go to school. And so, or if you run a traffic light, you know, you can get stopped and all of a sudden someone winds up being shot and killed. And so, I get to talk about those kind of things in our health awareness sessions. Points are awarded based on those metrics, and so we're asking people to improve in those areas, and the winners, first place winners gets $1,000. So we got a nice little carrot. First place winners get $1,000, second place winners in these fitness challenges get $200, and we ask for testimonials following that, all right? And so I'm excited about working with Northeast Louisiana in the fact that excited about working with Northeast Delta, but we don't only work with Northeast Delta, we work with Southeast Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, AHEC, and we have some CDC funding as well. But these things are all to ensure that the families and the communities and the people that I affiliate with and interact with the health and wellness stuff, that they get to benefit from the knowledge that we're bringing to them about how valuable their health is to them. Not just them, everybody in the room. If you're a caregiver, if something happens to your health, not only are you affected, but everybody in your household is affected. Everybody in the house. If something happens to me, all of my kids are affected. And so I try to really get on the ground with them and say, well, what are you doing to protect your health? You have to be doing something, because once you pass the age of 30, and I think everybody in the room is over 30. Once you pass the age of 30, You're no longer developing and getting stronger unless you're doing something to maintain that, to develop that. We start debilitating at the age of 30, everybody, human being, biologically, that's a fact. And so we can look at people of the same age and see a difference in how they look based on what they do. And so you can look at me, I'm 57 years old, but you know, most 57 years old don't look like this. You know, I'm not bragging, I'm just saying. We don't brag. Not bragging, I'm just trying to make the point that biological age is different from chronological age. Biological age is different from chronological age. We can be biologically younger than our chronological age. And I like that about what I do. And so we've been working with Northeast Delta for 2 years now, and I'm looking forward to working with them well into the future. So that's the slide I'm on now. No, go back. Go back.
You can control it right up there.
I got a picture. Okay, next slide. Okay. So if you want more energy, similar to what I was just talking about with biological age, if you want more energy to handle the stress that we go through, and so I have a U and a D there because stress is 2 forms of stress. It's eustress and distress. Eustress and distress. The eustress is the kind of healthy oriented stress, something that I experienced yesterday when my son graduated. My baby boy, who's 21 years old, finished at Grambling State University yesterday. So, and he's the baby. So that's a eustress moment, but distress is things that tends to set cortisol in motion. And anytime, you know, you're stressed over whatever it is, you release a hormone. So just like when I get down on the floor, when I'm exercising on a regular basis, I do sit-ups and push-ups and pull-ups and all these dips and stuff like that. And I do that to maintain my health. I release hormones in my body when I do that. So when you're stressing, you also release hormones that work against you. And you know, if you didn't know that, you might always stop stressing. You might always stop stressing. It works against you, in other words. And so above and beyond the physical changes that happens to us when we're exercising, a new persona emerges that allows you not only to be, you know, successful with the stuff that you're doing physically, but you get this new attitude, and you're able to do other things outside of physical fitness and health and wellness and stuff like that. So much like the spiritual transformation that comes with moral maturity, strength training. Am I on now? Yeah, sure, it's up there. Strength training goes far beyond the physical to affect several other areas of importance. And what I mean by that is that we used to say, I remember this coming up, that milk does the body good. Anybody remember those commercials from when you were a kid? Milk does the body good, so drink milk. You know, so milk does the body good for kids, not for adults. For kids, not for adults. It's you know, baby, drink milk, right? And so I'm not saying you should stop drinking milk. What I'm saying is that strength training is better for your body than drinking milk. That's the analogy I'm giving right here. Strength training does the body good. Muscle does the body good. In fact, when you figure out how to integrate strength training into endurance so that it's a muscular endurance activity, now you're really cooking with grease. You're really turning a double play, so to speak, because you're not only building muscle, but you're building stamina and cardiovascular fitness and so forth. And so that carries more weight than just walking or jogging And I'm not saying that those things are not good. For the people who can jog right now, I take my hat off to you. I can't jog anymore after 4 surgeries on my knees, 2 during my college career when I was playing college basketball, and 2 corrective afterwards. So I walk and I play racquetball. I do anything that I can do to maintain my body, because I know that if something happens to me, so goes my family. So my family is on the line. It's on the line. So the moral to that story is muscle does the body good, more so than milk. For us. Next slide. So stress management. So these are stress management related scriptures to me. And I say that because this is a very familiar passage of scripture right here, 1 Peter 5:7, where it talks about casting all your cares on him, and it's talking about the Lord, for he cares for you. Because the research suggests that stress is not the same for everybody. You and I could be having the same stress, but if I have a more intelligent response than you, then stress is not going to affect me the same. So all stress, even though it might be distressful, the situation, you've heard of it this before, it's not what happens to you, but how you respond to what happens to you. Yeah, so you have to have a response. And the response I've learned is based on what you know. In the intersection of the life, when the situation occurs, if you don't know much, then the stress really influences you in a negative way. But if you know something about this word, and I'll say it again, I'll try to drive that point home, about how moral maturity props you up. More than the physical, the moral maturity. The Bible is full of passages that talk about a fool and their money. And we have a lot of examples in these professional athletes and entertainers who come into money, and then they don't have it long because they don't have that moral maturity. They don't have those soft skills to keep it. And so we talk a lot about this in our health awareness sessions. But the second verse there, 1 Peter 5:8, and now this is the crux. This is what I hang my hat on about wellness. And it talks about to be sober, be vigilant, be well balanced. And it's talking to everybody in the room. Be sober, be vigilant, be well balanced, because your adversary, the devil, walks around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. He walks around like, he's not a lion unless you allow him to be. Unless you allow him to be. And so the well-balanced piece is where BEAM actually comes from, the organization that I manage today. Because being well-balanced is about wellness. Next slide, please. And so I remember when I first came into the healthcare profession, how health and being healthy was the term and the terminology that's used. And that's good. We need to be healthy. But the term wellness transcends the term health. Because, man, I'll say this. The way in which it does that is that I really found this out during the pandemic. When a lot of people lost their jobs. And we were looking at those food truck lines and the lines that was in the parking lot and stuff like that. And we were noticing, how detrimental it was on their family because they didn't have the resource to care for their family. They lost their jobs. So you can be healthy, but if you don't have a job, if you're not able to care for you and your family, then you're not well. You're not well. And so from that perspective, I said, wow, I got to get this message out. Because a lot of people think that, as long as you're free from disease, you're okay. But no, that's not the case. And so we talk about all of these things. Now, physical health is my focus. That's the thing I hang my hat on. Yeah, so it's the number one thing up there. But wellness is about being well-rounded. And I'll talk about this. But actually, this is captured in that second verse, 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be well-balanced, because the enemy is seeking whom he may devour, right? He's roaming around like a lion, seeking whom he may devour. So any way in which you are out of balance with all of the capacities of human existence, then that's where that enemy is gonna come in at. And there's another verse in Job that talks about this as well. When they talk about the angel of God came unto him and the devil was with him, but they didn't know it. You know, even the angels didn't even know the devil was who he was. You know, and so this is how the enemy can get at us, because he can disguise himself in so many different ways. He can disguise himself in a relationship at work. He can disguise himself as a relationship in the house with you. You could be sleeping with the enemy and not know it. He's coming, and he comes in all of these different ways. So any way you're out of balance, you finna get it, and you don't know it, because this thing. The devil is a spirit, right? So he don't sleep. I mean, he's 24/7 trying to figure out how to get you to stumble. And so again, the fitness challenge is about physical health, but we talk a lot about mental health and intellectual development, emotional health. Of course, I've been under pastor's teaching for now 17 years, and my family wouldn't be what it is today without that. And so you can see how wellness transcends health. And so when I think about wellness, Galatians 5:22 has a nice little, let's say, comparison to it. Because Galatians, now we're talking about those soft skills, being morally mature, and it's talking about love, peace, gentleness, kindness. Against such things, there is no law. I like that. I like the fact that when you can possess these skills, then there is no stopping. Then you're on the path, because you have the soft skills, you have the moral maturity now to gird up your intellectual capabilities. So, and I talk to my students about this all the time. Wisdom trumps intelligence. So this is the wisdom piece. Wisdom trumps intelligence. You can be intelligent. We got a whole lot of intelligent people out there making a bunch of mistakes because they don't have any wisdom. Wisdom is the application of knowledge and the right application of it. So you don't need the knowledge just for you. So my skills and ability is not just for me. They're for my family. They're for the students at Grambling. They're for the people at the church who get to benefit from the knowledge that I have that's flowing through me, that they get to benefit from, just like I benefit from his knowledge. And so since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. It's more important than what you know or what you thought you knew. You know how everybody thinks, I'm intelligent enough to make it work. But when the pandemic hit, a lot of people were saying, maybe I don't know as much as I thought I knew. I don't know as much as I thought I knew, because I'm not able to fend for my family like I thought I was able to fend for my family. Next slide. Here's another set of piece of information that I think is very similar to wellness and the fruit of the spirit, which is Galatians 5:22. The theory of multiple intelligence by Gardner. And so you and I and everybody in the room have many of these forms of intelligence that we display on a regular basis. Spatial intelligence, talking about visual. And we know somebody. When you read this list, you can say, oh, I know somebody who's good at that. I know somebody who's a mathematician. I know somebody who's a writer. I know somebody who's a speaker. So these are individual talents that can get you over the hump, but you don't last for long, even with your talent, if you don't have that moral maturity. Again, it undergirds you, and it causes you to thrive and not just get the job, but keep the job. So we have a lot of people in the room who are proud of the job. So this is not just about you having a job. This is about you keeping the job and doing the work that you've been called to do. And so all of these different levels of intelligence are very important, but they don't have a whole lot of meaning if you don't use them in the most appropriate way. And that's, again, is what we talk about on a regular basis. Next slide. So many of the factors that contribute to wellness are things that we can control, like diet, exercise, sexual behavior, stress management, and so forth. And all of these choices that we make on a regular basis are designed to lower our risk factors for health disparity, improve the outcome for health disparity. And what is health disparity? You heard Dr. Sizer mention it. It's the disproportionate rate at which people of color or people from the lower socioeconomic status develop disease and die from it sooner than the dominant group, than the general public, so to speak. And the reason that this is a troublesome issue is because it's systematic, happens year after year. We've been talking about health disparities for 30 years. It's systematic, it's avoidable, and it's unjust. It's unjust. There's a neat little documentary called Unnatural Health. Anybody ever heard of that? It's a documentary series called Unnatural Health, and it's about 8 different documentaries where they're talking about all of these different ways in which your health is influenced, and it's all by policy, all by design. All by design. It's just policies that exist in society that, let's say, kind of sum up the social determinants of health. You've heard of that before. The social determinants of health, right? So those are social policies. It comes across in that documentary, Unnatural Causes. So there's 2 related dangers when we're talking about health issues related to special populations like ethnic groups and so forth. One is stereotypes and the other one is overgeneralization. When in fact, and you can read those, when in fact, you know, we talk about all of these different health disparities and statistics and so forth. When in everybody in the room, that's for everybody in this room, 99% of your genetic structure is the same. I can be more like this young lady here than I am Dr. Sizer, genetically speaking. We just look different on the surface. That comes across in the book by Epstein. Can you think his first name, but his last name is Epstein, who wrote the book, The Sport Gene. He was actually trying to figure out how to get information to the public and make it, kind of cheesy and entertaining. So he wrote a book about genetics, but he tied it to sport. And he said that 99% of our genes are all the same. So why do we have, this drastic difference in our health status? That's because we got a system that's structured to support some and not the other. And that's why your work is so important, to try to offset that system. Because we know the system exists, which is why you are here. Next slide. So we know gender-wise that women live longer than men. We also know ethnicity-wise that African Americans tend to have the shortest lifespan. And we know that Asian Americans tend to have the longest lifespan. But do we know anything about capitalization rate? Capitalization rate is to accomplish what it is you go after. Asians have the highest capitalization rate in America. When they go after something, they achieve it. They have the highest capitalization rate. They live the longest, they have the highest test scores. Is that genetic? Is it genetic that they should live longer, Asians? Is it genetic that they should do better on standardized tests like they do in America? Is that genetic? Is it genetic that they should have the highest capitalization rate? I pose that question to my students on a regular basis, and they say no. I said, well, what's the difference? Why do they have better outcomes? Health outcomes, test scores, corporate, America outcomes with regard to capitalization rate. Why is it? And so the students all chime in and they say, well, they got better habits. They got better habits. Their culture is better than ours. Really? Is that the truth? Now, it is the truth that one of the reasons why they have the highest capitalization rate is because of their culture. The test scores, culture, that's not genetic. That's not genetic. I've lived beside some Asians before. They don't play basketball and tennis, and football and stuff like that. They're focusing on academics. The hours that we put in football and soccer and basketball and so forth, they're studying something, which is why they tend to have those outcomes. So that is culture. So that means that we can change our culture and get a different outcome in America. But we've been doing that from an African American perspective for years. The outcomes don't look like they're changing very much. But that's another reason you're here. See if you can change those outcomes. So many of the health disparities are rooted in inequalities in income and education. And it's the individuals with the highest poverty rate that have the lowest capacity for education and having the lowest incomes and health status and so forth. Next slide. Okay. So culture does play a role. Culture does play a role. Traditional dietary patterns and so forth, and if you're in the African American community, brothers like sisters to be a little heavier, a little thicker. They do, but that's changing even with the Kardashian girls and some of these other people on TikTok, everybody's trying to develop their backside now. Everybody want to be fine, you know? Absolutely. And so I see what I do as being, let's go back one time. It's, trust regarding the healthcare system. I see what I do as being opposite of the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. I know everybody in the room knows about that. The Tuskegee syphilis experiment, lasted for 40 years. There were people who benefited from that, they received the proper treatment, and then there were those who didn't get the proper treatment, and their families suffered as a result of it. President Clinton apologized for it nationally a couple of years ago. And so what BEAM sets out to do is to operate in the African-American community, testing and measuring, improving the quality of life. And we've been doing it for 15 years now, so that means we have 25 more years to do what we're doing in order to match the number of years that the Tuskegee syphilis experiment existed. So that's my focus. That's my why. That's why I do what I do, is because that stuff's in the back of my mind. Next slide. And I'm gonna try to, speed up here a little bit so I can finish. But then Latinos generally have a lower rate of heart disease, cancer, and suicide than the general population, and a higher rate of infant mortality rate, and of course, birth rate. As we can see across the nation, the numbers are improving for Latinos, Hispanics in the school system. And this year, I think, was the first year that the number that represents minority students is over 50. So, for the first time in the history of America, white students make up less than 50% of the students that are going to our school system, and that's going to be the norm moving forward. That's going to be the norm moving forward. Next slide. African Americans seem to have the same leading causes of death in general as the general public, with heart disease, and stroke, and asthma, and obesity, and stuff like that. But they tend to have higher infant mortality rates and lower rates of suicide and osteoporosis. Next slide. I wanted to finish with this, talking about the Matthew effect. Now, this has a lot to do with stress, this passage for me. And I have an acronym that I came up with, TAG. I call it my tag. Because everybody's really looking at someone else's tag and comparing themselves to it. And what do I mean when I say that? TAG stands for talents, abilities, and gifts. And so the Matthew effect talks about this parable, where God gave one servant 5 talents, 1, 2, and another 1. And the one he gave 1 talent to was offended. So he buried his talent. The other 2 did something with theirs. They multiplied theirs and were rewarded for it. But what if, the one thing that you was gifted with, made you like a Michael Jackson or a Babe Ruth? Your 1 talent. And so we start comparing our tag to other people's tags. What's on your tag? What's your tag? We're looking at everybody else, and we're not supposed to be comparing ourselves to other people, but we do this, and that's where the stress comes from. Comparing ourselves to others. Trying to see what's on their tag. Boy, when I came into that knowledge, I stopped looking at other people. I just focus on me. I just focus on the skills and ability that he endowed me with. And I try to do that well. I wish I could sing like What's her name? Malia? Khalil. I wish I could sing like that. I wish I could teach the word like Pastor B, but that ain't my gift. So I'm gonna stay in my lane. And if most of us learned what our purpose was and tried to just go all out doing that, we'd have less stress. We'd have less stress. But we're too busy looking at everybody else's tag. Next slide. And the next slide. And the next slide. More to the story, get some more wisdom. Exercise and eat better. And focus on your tag. Focus on your tag. All right, did I make the time? All right. All right. Yes.
It looks like prevention and wellness, that's the next slot here. And you know how we all love those icebreakers. I think they're already busy handing out those pretty little HSA red bags. No idea what this is going to be. I want to sneak in a quick bathroom break, and I think you'll be okay. The women's bathroom right around the corner. Okay. So Kara is here to help us figure out what these little bags on the table are all about. All right.
Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing? Okay, so I want you to pay attention. We have a quick little icebreaker just to kind of warm everybody up and get everybody moving a little bit or going. So you have a bag. Inside of your bag, you need to make room on your table. All right. You are going to, when I tell you, you are going to pour out the contents of your bag. You will have initially 1 minute. There is prevention and wellness staff throughout the room. So you're going to unscramble your phrase that's in your bag. When you get it, if you get it before my timer goes off, somebody from the table says, got it, and a member of the prevention and wellness team will come to you so that you don't reshuffle. We're going to check that you have it right. If you do, everyone at your table wins a prize. If you don't get it before the minute is up, I'll add another minute. So we will do this until we get, I think it's 3 tables, okay? Your first hint is that each of the phrases in the bag are Christmas phrases, okay? They're Christmas themed. So you can dump out and begin. It is a Christmas theme. Okay, we got one. Everybody hold up. We got one. What number they have? They have Bright Christmas morning. So this table is surprise. We're gonna start back. Keep going. What was there? Bright Christmas morning was what they had. We have another one. Which number? Morgan, what number? We have another table behind you, kids.
About a minute left, so in order to focus, make sure you figure out what yours were at your table. And you won't have to be stuck trying to figure it out. All right, in order to our schedule, I'm going to go ahead and start telling you a little bit about a new speaker. And since I have the microphone and I'm louder than the rest of you, all right, here we go. You've already heard a lot about
You all right?
Jerry Baldwin.
You hanging in there?
Yes, sir.
Native
You're on Zoom, Dr. Silas.
Mississippi. Dr. Jerry Baldwin has a master's degree in political science and a doctor of divinity, doctor of humanities, as well as a doctor of theology. Wow, that guy likes school a lot. He began his career as a high school teacher and football coach in Louisiana, but he quickly excelled in the area of coaching. And he was offered a position on the collegiate level that led him to Ruston, Louisiana in 1982 as a football coach at Louisiana Tech University. In 1992, he moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to accept a coaching position at LSU. In the spring of 1999, he was named the head football coach at the University of Lafayette. However, coaching was merely a tool used to help Dr. Jerry Baldwin impact and change lives with the Word of God. The son of a Baptist minister, Jerry Baldwin operated in the teaching ministry as he coached football for a number of years prior to the establishment of New Living Word Ministries. He has become widely respected for his dynamic teaching of the gospel. His love for Jesus Christ and his teachings stem from a rich spiritual background that included constant home and church teaching of the word. Dr. Jerry Baldwin is known as a champion for causes and issues that affect the least of them. He puts feet to his faith daily by finding ways to serve and uplift those who are in need, whether it is through the New Living Word School, where he serves as principal, through the Restoration Program, where he oversees 4 homes dedicated to helping men and women who have fallen on hard times get back on their feet, or through prison ministry, where he and his team visit 3 prisons in North Louisiana monthly to minister to inmates and provide pre-release mentoring and spiritual counseling. A sought-after orator and enthusiastic advocate of the word, Pastor Baldwin has been raised as an inspiration to all who hear him. His candid, no-nonsense approach has endeared him to thousands. He is married to Julia, and they have 2 daughters, 2 son-in-laws, and 5 grandchildren. So everybody welcome Dr. Jerry Baldwin.
Morning to you. Y'all have song very loud. Good morning to you. Thank you for those kind words of introduction. I'm indeed invited to be with you this morning. So thanks to Dr. Sizer, the economy, whoever is responsible for putting this on and inviting me to come. Thank you. Glad to be here. I know this on the program because y'all realize I'm not quite as smart as Dr. Proctor. Y'all give me as long to talk. Y'all let us dumb guys talk a few minutes. But always remind us, stand up, speak up, so shut up. All right. Look what I do. I'm excited. I am pastor and founder of New Living Word Ministry. It's founded for the purpose of running keep business. And that's what we do. There's no apology about it. That's who we are. That's what we do. All right. Notice on the screen that New Living Word Ministry, real outreach ministry, real simply reaching everybody at their level. That's the acronym. That's what we do. Whether you're aware of it or not, as a faith-based entity, as a church, it is our God's given responsibility to do outreach. Church was never intended by God to be a meeting on Sunday. We started that. Church was always intended by God to be an outreach. I'm gonna say to you, and I don't know who you are and where you're from and where you're listening, you've got to get involved in outreach if you're gonna be the church. Jesus made an interesting statement once. He says, upon this rock, I'll build a church. The gates of hell shall not prevail. Get all that stuff going on won't prevail against the church. He says, now I'm gonna build unto thee, the church, keys of the kingdom. And if the church has the keys and they do nothing, nothing happens. But since the church has the keys, it is our responsibility to outreach. So that's why we do what we do in New Living Word Ministry, because that's who we are. That's who God called us to be. So I'm excited about our outreach effort there in New Living Word Ministry. Amen. Our team, we have a real team. This team is a team of people from our church participate with us in our partnership with Northeast Delta. That team goes out on that team. We have Dr. Keela Richardson, our outreach supervisor. She's also my daughter. She's also an attorney. On that team, we have Dr. Ma'am, who's our associate ministers, who handle our prison ministry. Right. On that team is also Dr. Frederick Bubbs, who handles our restoration ministry. You know. Also on that team, we have Dr. Rixey, who's our survivorship coach. He deals with women with breast cancer and all that. That's the part of our team that works monthly with Northeast Delta Human Services Authority. Okay? I'm excited about the partnership with Northeast Delta. I remember I didn't really know anything about Northeast Delta. One day, a guy came to my office to visit with me. I never met him, never heard of him. His name is Dr. Sizer. And I told him straight up, man, I'm not impressed with government because government doesn't do anything. Did I tell you that? Yes. And the government have not gotten involved in dealing with the issues of the least of them. So I'm I'm backing off government because I'm one of the guys, I believe we get it done. And he assured me that Northeast Delta was different. He came to tell me, I'm willing to work with the willing. And I told him we wanted to with him. Let's see if we can look up and do it. I'm about doing it, not about talking about it, not about impressing people that you're doing it, but not doing it. I want to do it. So as a result of that, we have partnerships with Northeast Delta, certainly, Ware Parish, region, and Northeast Delta Human Services Authority. Certainly, we're grateful for that opportunity. Let me say something to you. There is no shortage of resources got problems everywhere. We have enough resources. But the resources have to be in the hands of the people that's going to do something. So government has the resources, the church, it's the mandate of the church to get the job done. So the church needs the resources that the government have that's pooled together, and we can get the job done. And I'm excited to have an opportunity to partner with Northeast Delta, pool resources with our commission to get it done. Let's go and make something happen in this week. Okay. For services, by now contractual partnership with Northeast Delta, we distribute information on HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C. How many of you know that this HIV is as deadly as COVID? It's a silent killer out there. I know we wearing masks and all that because of the virus, but we allow the virus to spread. And now we're trying to stop that. All right? We distribute information on the risk of HIV drug use. I mean, no, drug use is real. We give substance abuse and education and prevention kits, and referrals for testing, referrals for treatment, whether it's for HIV or whether it's for substance abuse. And many of those referrals go to your clinics, to those clinics that are associated with you. Right? We have prison reentry. We have a prison reentry program. I'll talk about that just a little later for those in incarceration. I love brothers that are locked up. Amen. Matter of fact, just got to call Thursday, that, because of COVID, they shut us out. Just got to call Thursday, we go in prison Monday night, we go in. Yeah, that's a good place to clap. That's a good place to clap. We're running our prison reentry program consists of, we have a pre-release program where we minister to you while you're incarcerated. Then we got a post-release program. When you get out, we're there to pick you up, start your life over, build your life back, and you don't need any money. Just do it because some prison reentry. We have a housing program, which I talked about that a little later in the presentation. The housing program doesn't matter who you are and where you come from. If you're homeless, we love you. We're gonna help you. That's what we do. We've been doing this. It's not something we just started. We've been doing this since the inception of our ministry. If our ministry was not reaching out beyond the walls of the church, I tell God to go. I'm the wrong man. Most of what we do is outside the walls. We have dark places. I'll talk to you later on about that. Do that too. And we have food and clothing. Our goal is to touch people's lives wherever they are, reaching everyone at their level. That's what we do. And that's what I like about Northeast Delta. That's your mission. So it's a good marriage between us and you. What have we been doing? We've been, some of you probably noticed this, we've been hosting drive-through events throughout the neighborhoods in the region. What we do, we load up and we go anywhere. We find out where the hot spots are in the neighborhood, and we show up, we play the music, we bring the team, and we just minister to the people there. They tell us there's a hot spot down in Tallulah, Queen Mama, we go into Queen Mama. Yeah. We've been in your town. We've been in all 12 towns. That's what we do. We just show up in the neighborhood. We're unafraid. And matter of fact, the police told me over Monroe, I forgot the name of the project. He says, I wouldn't recommend you go over there. There's a lot of killers. I'm supposed to say, they're walking on school, but they said, man, it's dangerous. I said, really? That's where I need to be. If the police scared, the people should be. Boy, we had a great time. What an opportunity we had to reach out to folks that everybody scared.
And we're going back.
Yeah, going back, I heard that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, one of the young men that's in our restoration program, he's from there. He said, you're going with me today. We had a blast. Yeah. We've got to leave the sanctuary, go to the streets. We've got to get out the pulpits and go to the projects of the community, and to get out the pews, go into highways and hedges where the people are. If we're planning to ministry, because them people not walking in the doors of the church, in case you didn't know that. In case you didn't know that. Amen. Now we do collaborate with the local police department and sheriff department. We don't go in any town without the police and the sheriff department we're coming. We don't want to create any problems. We make a lot of noise. We play music, make noise, get people to come. That's the attraction. Right? We're interested in ministering and making contact with people. So we play music that people like when they come out. Right? We provide prevention education kits. We've been attending health fairs throughout the region. We want to go and distribute educational material as it relates to HIV, Hep C, Hep B, homelessness. We do that. So we attend various health fairs. We've been to a lot of them too. And we participate in community activities throughout the region. If you have a community activity, like for us to be involved, we're willing to come. Right? And we provide food and clothing every week. Every week. We give away boxes of groceries, clothing every week, free. Pandemic hadn't strong us up. Matter of fact, we haven't missed not 1 week because of the pandemic. Why? Because people have need, even in the midst of COVID. People be lined up before we could get there because they have need. God impressed upon us. I don't want you shut down when I got folk that need to be shut. Matter of fact, as a church, and I know this, you don't take this anyway, but as a church, we haven't missed one Sunday since COVID. Right. We have closed. We follow the CDC in the scripture. CDC says you can have 10 people in there. We're going to take 10 in. That's what we're going to do. We're going to put the rest of them in the parking lot. We got big speakers out there. They can hear everything. So you say you can put 20%. We can take that in there, whatever the rule is. But we may doze every now and then when we don't close. Why? Because we are the voice of God in the earth realm. And when God's voice is silenced, the enemy runs rampant. So we see ourselves as a faith-based entity of the church. You see, there are two domains that we deal with. There's the domain of the world, and there's the domain of the kingdom. In the world, the local government that you all work for are responsible. But in the kingdom of God, the church is the local government of the kingdom of God in the earth realm. So we're working for God. We can't shut the kingdom down, but do business. So that's what we do. That's what we've been doing. And you've been hearing us making some noise, perhaps in your community. We don't mean no harm. We just come here. We come to be who we are. Okay. But of course, man, why do we do what we do? Why do we do that? Jesus made an interesting statement after 25, 35, 36. In the Message Bible, it says, I was hungry. You fed me. I was thirsty. You gave me drink. I was homeless. You didn't talk about it. You didn't talk about it, but you gave me room. I was naked. You didn't talk about it. You saw my tail out. You didn't talk about it, but you gave me clothes. I was sick. You stopped visiting. I was in prison. Came to me. If you look at the verse very close, this is why we do what we do. Jesus never said they were. He says, I was. I was. Every homeless person, every hungry person, every incarcerated person that you see, that's your opportunity to minister to Jesus. And oftentimes we pass by Jesus on our way to church. What we do is we leave the building called church to go see Jesus. He said, whatever you do unto the least of them, you do also unto me. So that's why we do what I do, because we love Jesus enough to minister to him. And whatever that costs, we don't really worry about the cost to do anything, because Jesus wants us to minister to him. He's going to make sure we got enough money to do it. That's why you heard Proctor talk a few minutes ago about Brock had this beam inside of him where God wants to do a start. And I don't do anything by funding. I do it all by faith, because faith is what produces the funding. So if he wants us to do it, they tell me, say, you're going to go broke feeding them people every week. Really? I'm going to go broke feed Jesus. If he wants himself fed, he's going to keep funding. That's why we do what we do. Our motivation is we love Jesus and we want to minister to him. You know, the verse very close says, I was hungry and you fed me. You didn't talk about me. You gave me something to eat. You didn't tell me you were going to pray for me. You said you fed me. You know, at the church, there were folks starving and homeless, and we're going to pray. That doesn't help. Thirsty, you gave me a drink. I was homeless, you gave me a room. You didn't pass, you gave me a room. And we literally, that's what we do now. That's what we do. That's what we do. Well, I don't want Jesus out of the cold, do you? He said, I was sick. I watch this. I want you to get this. I was sick, and he says, you stopped to visit me. You interrupted your agenda because I was sick. You saw my mental illness. You saw my suffering. You saw me struggling. That was important enough for you to stop and be a serious. That's why we do. And in working with an agency like this, you've got to get the mindset. Do what we do because we love Jesus. That's why we do what we do at New Living Word. Now, there's a serious problem. Already? Wow. 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 I didn't get a chance to say it. I heard it too close. Hey, look, there's a serious problem with drugs and crime, okay? I want to talk about that. There's a problem with homelessness that we got to address. You can't turn your head to homelessness. Amen. 1,750,000 homeless people. Let's talk about that. Now we're quick with this. Homelessness is a problem. And we don't turn our head to it with ministry. We deal with it. Provide housing for those that need. When they come, we provide food, clothing for them. We get them jobs. Nobody, and we've been doing this since 2007. Nobody's ever come to us and we can get them a job. We provide transportation to work, we provide daily Bible study, daily mentoring, drug testing, drug counseling. They get legal counseling, expungement. Simply because we love it. You don't need a dime to start. So what we do now with Northeast Delta, we go into the area. So I'm down in Tallulah, we ran into a guy over there, Queen Mama. He was hungry. Well, come on, get in the vehicle with me. I'm gonna house you now. We're gonna feed you, we're gonna clothe you, we're gonna get you a job. And you don't need no money because you're Jesus and we love you. That's what we do. That's what we do. I'm delighted to be in partnership with Northeast Delta. I want to say to you as I conclude real quick, let's work together. Let's keep working together. It's important that we work together. Okay? Let us know how we can partner with you. Let us know your community that we can show up and help you do what you do. Amen? Together, we can make a difference. That's the will of God for us. So we're excited, Dr. South. Thank you to Northeast Delta Human Services Authority and all of those carrying the rest of the team that work with us to do Living Word ministry. We're excited about what we do. We do what we do because that's who we are. We love the King. We love the King. Thank you so much. My time is up.
I hope everybody's had enough of a break so we can get started again. We have Mr. Fred Barnett, the guy that was recently running around Ms. Scruggs getting the integrated care project all lined out. And we're so excited about it. It's going to be awesome. So without further ado, our nurse practitioner, Mr. Fred Barnett.
Everybody, can y'all hear me? Good. My name is Fred Barnett. I'm a medical nurse practitioner. I came on board with Northeast Delta in December of last year. Dr. Sizer's tasked me with bringing the medical component of integrated care together and keeping it moving forward. As he had said earlier, and some of the statistics and things I'll talk about and show, Northeast Delta has been ahead of the curve, been working on this for 8 years and 8 months. So we're really trying to bring in the next phase or keep moving it forward. And so I wanted to kind of just put together a little PowerPoint with a little history. And we're really trying to work and kind of change the thought process. A lot of the thought processes think that, you know, PIVOT or our grant is integrated care. It is not. Northeast Delta is integrated care. All the services that we provide, the theme, you know, listening to the previous speakers this morning, the theme is going out into the community, holistically looking at the consumer. We can't necessarily stay in our lane anymore. We have to reach out to the consumer. We have to get to them. And as he said, you know, if you treat me as a medical nurse practitioner, if I treat just hypertension, I'm not necessarily doing that consumer the best service or giving them the best care that they can have. And so as we move into this healthcare model or further implementing this healthcare model, we really need to look at what are we doing for the consumer holistically and not just our area. So again, it's Northeast Delta as a whole is integrated care, not just the PIPIC grant or not just the medical component of it. Y'all will be tired of me saying it, but I'm saying it. The medical component is just a spoke in the wheel of Northeast Delta, which is integrated care as a whole. Okay, so we have our vision, mission, and tenants posted, but I really wanted to kind of read them and just go over them again because it's important. It is why we do what we do. So our vision is to build a unified Northeast Louisiana where individuals are thriving and reaching their full human potential. Our mission is to serve as a catalyst for individuals with mental, developmental disabilities, addictive disorders, and to help realize their full human potential by offering quality, excellent care and greater accessibility. And our tenants is to offer greater access to services, excellent customer service, and quality, competent care. If we focus on those things, then we will be given the best care that we can give to our consumers. Next slide, please. So in 2016, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology named Northeast Delta as a winner of its inaugural healthcare delivery and innovation competition. JPAL is with the Massachusetts Institute of Health. They're an organization that works with poverty and trying to decrease poverty. They actually recognize Northeast Delta for their innovative work in providing patients access to quality behavioral health care, integrated primary care, and social services. So in the past, we have signed MOUs with federally qualified healthcare clinics, rural healthcare clinics, and we've worked with them. And that's where we help our consumers get the medical care. We're moving to the next phase or moving it forward where we want to be able to offer those medical services at each one of our clinics that we see consumers at. So with that, we're just taking what we've built, the foundation that's been laid, and we're moving forward and we're keep moving onward and upward to provide service for the consumer. Again, we say it over and over and over. We have to really start looking at the consumer from a holistic standpoint and going to them for their to assist with their health care. So now everybody hears about PIPIC. Well, PIPIC was a grant that was awarded in 2018. It was awarded to Northeast Delta by SAMHSA, which is a federal agency. And PIPIC stands for Promoting Integration of Primary and Behavioral Health Care. So this grant was a 5-year grant, and it was to help us assist with improving the care of the mental health consumer with the coexisting medical conditions. So again, we're bringing the medical component of integrated care to Northeast Delta. So with that PIPIC grant, SAMHSA awarded 4 clinics throughout Louisiana this 5-year grant. Morehouse was chosen, Terrebonne Parish was chosen, Orleans, and East Baton Rouge. So each clinic was chosen for their own challenges. So challenges that our consumers face in Northeast Louisiana are not necessarily the challenges that consumers face in South Louisiana. The reason we were chosen is that we are a very rural community. So our consumers may have to drive 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour to receive services. So as the state envisions us moving forward into integrated care, as we move to different areas, they want to draw on the challenges that we face in Northeast Louisiana, the challenges that they face in New Orleans. So they're really working to say, you know, what challenges do you have? So when we move to this next phase, we can draw upon. So we're really, Northeast Delta, we're trailblazers for the state of Louisiana. So it's something to be really proud of and be a part of. So again, why are we doing what we do? So one of the biggest things that we look at from the medical standpoint in coexisting mental conditions, Louisiana is 4th highest in the diabetes rate. 6th highest in obesity, 6th highest in hypertension, 11th highest in rates with adult with mental illness, and 23rd highest in the rate of drug abuse. So we're really high in the areas that we don't necessarily want to be. So we need to be advocates for those people and try to improve the overall health outcomes. So what are the goals for integrated care? So what we really have to I keep saying we have to back up and say, what is integrated care? We are an integrated care clinic as a whole. So what are our goals, or what do we need to do? Well, what we need to do is decrease the disjointed healthcare system. If someone is doing something over here and someone is doing something over here, we may be doing something that may not be correct for that consumer. And what we do can contraindicate or overlap with what they're doing, and we can actually cause the consumer more harm. So we need to decrease that disjointed healthcare system. Again, we're wanting to provide an interdisciplinary, holistic approach for the consumer's health care. We keep talking about holistic, we keep speaking that, and what that is we really need to look at everything that consumer needs. We also want to provide evidence-based treatment for mental and co-occurring medical conditions. Again, we want to give that consumer the best care that they deserve. And then again, we also want to make better use of our healthcare dollars and also decrease the overall cost of healthcare in general. There are a lot of monies and funds wasted by repetitive services, disjointed services. So we as a organization need to work together to try to decrease that and then make better use of our healthcare dollars. All right, so I was a little bit ahead of myself, but we want to step back and kind of look at, so integrated healthcare services offered through Northeast Delta. It's not just PIPIC, okay? It's our mental health services. It's our addictive disorders. It's our developmental disabilities. It's our prevention and wellness. It's our tobacco cessation. Every service, every resource we have comes together to form one integrated care organization. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of break down into, I'm getting questions, all right, like Fred, what are y'all doing? Or Fred, what do you do? Or Dr. Jones, what do you do? And so I'm going to break down kind of what we do from the medical component of integrated care for Northeast Delta. So what we do is we do a comprehensive review of all the consumers' medical and social history. We review their mental health and their medical records, and we try to take that holistic approach to the consumer, not just what can I do from managing your high blood pressure. If your blood pressure is high, why is it high? Could it be this, or this, the stress? So we really try to look at it from that standpoint. Another thing we do is if we assess the consumers and see if they need referrals for primary care. Now, we will offer primary care if the consumer wants to, but again, we're talking about if I'm in Baxter and we have a consumer that's in Ruston or Tallulah, it's not really fair, or it's not really right to ask them to drive all the way just to see me. So if we can get them that routine care in their closer to home, then we can work with their primary care provider, and we review everything and make sure everything is being done and the services that are provided, that need to be provided, are provided. So again, we're reaching out to that consumer and we're trying to help them where they live rather than making them come to us. We also do an assessment of their social determinants and assistance with barriers to healthcare. We have our case management, we have peer support, and we'll refer to appropriate resources, and then they can take it that next step further and further go into the resources that will help that consumer. Another thing we do is we assist the mental health consumer navigate the healthcare system. So the healthcare system is difficult, as everybody in this room knows. The healthcare system is difficult to navigate, and just if you try to put yourself in your consumer's shoes or in their mindset, if they have a mental or an intellectual disability, it may be even more of a challenge. So we need to be consumer advocates for our patients or our consumers, because what is difficult for us is probably extremely difficult, or could be extremely difficult for them. So then we need to be that consumer advocate. All right, so that was kind of the presentation, just as far as the slideshow, and I wanted to give an overview of what integrated healthcare is at Northeast Delta. We really want to try to get away from HIPIC or the medical, that's integrated care. It's not. Everything we do, everything that y'all have been doing for the past several years, laying the foundation, we're moving forward to and upward to provide that holistic care for the consumer and go out and meet them where they need us, not necessarily just for them to come to us. So our next thing we'd like to do, we had put together an integrated care video. We did want to show it today. Some of the slides might have the same information on them. Some of this information might be a little bit, you've heard it before, but again, we really want to make sure that we're getting that word out and everybody understands what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish. So Mr. Talley will start the video. Y'all also, if you notice, it'll be in your Reliance training. So we're going to ask everybody to kind of watch it again. And we just feel that it's an important explanation of what we do. Thank you very much for your time.
Greetings all, and thank you for attending our presentation. My name is Dylan Jung, and I'm the Public Information Officer at Northeast Delta Human Services Authority. Northeast Delta Human Services Authority provides services and treatment to individuals diagnosed with major mental health. Greetings all, and thank you for attending our presentation. My name is Dylan Jung, and I'm the Public Information Officer at Northeast Delta Human Services Authority. Northeast Delta Human Services Authority provides services and treatment to individuals diagnosed with major mental illnesses, developmental disabilities, and addictive disorders. We also provide prevention and wellness services throughout our 12-parish region in Northeast Louisiana. Our agency's vision is to build a unified Northeast Louisiana where individuals are thriving and reaching their full human potential. Our agency's mission is to serve as a catalyst for individuals with mental health, developmental disabilities, and addictive disorders to help realize their full human potential by offering quality, excellent care with greater accessibility. The three tenets that guide our actions are greater access to services, excellent customer service, and quality competent care. Dr. Montez A. Sizer leads Northeast Delta Human Services Authority as the Executive Director. Again, thank you for tuning in to learn about Northeast Delta Human Services Authority's integrated care model. Integrated care is an award-winning model that provides behavioral, addiction, developmental disabilities, prevention and wellness, and primary healthcare services. The integrated behavioral health and primary care model ensures that our citizens have access to the care that they need, no matter where they enter the healthcare system. Our integrated model goes further than traditional models and addresses negative social determinants of health. We've added housing, workforce development, peer support, faith-based, and veterans-focused strategies in our model. We also provide client incentives to help with treatment-specific issues such as food, rental, utility, and transportation challenges. Before we get started with our presentation, take a moment to follow us on social media and download our Northeast Delta Human Services Authority mobile app.
My name is Fred Barnett. I am an APRN, medical APRN. I am the integrated care and project director for the program, integrated care, also project director for the program. Also, we have Dr. Jerry Baldwin. She is the integrated care oriented. So today I want to discuss with you Northeast Delta integrated care and our component of integrated care, which is the brand. We're promoting integration, primary behavioral health. So kind of an overview of what is integrated care. That's kind of general. Integrated care, best practice model provides behavioral, preventative, primary care, and other health services. A little bit of a background here. Northeast Delta began integrated care back in 2013. In 2018, Northeast Delta received a grant called SAMHSA, promoting integration of primary, which is promoting integration of primary health. One because the fact that the things that we looked at discussed, that a rate is 3 times higher, that is at a rate that is 3 times higher compared to the general population. Also, this was a fact that really stood out to me. The centers with serious mental illness have an estimated increased life expectancy. One of our coworkers made this statement, and it really kind of brought it home. Someone's life expectancy, they're increased by 10. They can actually keep a child from becoming a grandparent, or keep a child from having a grandparent. Really, what we do is sort of kind of gets us straightly into it. And I just wanted to kind of point those facts. So, what are the goals of integrated care? So, what are the goals of integrated care? So, some of the things we want to do help decrease our disjointed healthcare system, to provide an interdisciplinary holistic approach to consumer healthcare. We want to provide evidence-based treatment for mental and healthcare dollars. We want to make better use of our healthcare dollars. And we want to decrease some of the things that we talked about in some of the integrated care. Some of the things that we've talked about were several integrated care program that's going to offer several components and several pieces and kind of create a benefit for consumers. And so what we feel that that will do is how healthcare is becoming disappointed. You have a mental health side, you have a medical provider who's trained. If you really think about it, the mental health provider is trained in mental health treatment diagnosis, and so medical is trained in mental health. So I'm not necessarily trained in mental health. The mental health provider is not necessarily trained to treat severe chronic conditions such as high blood pressure. But if we come together on both sides, provide the best care on both sides, we will have a collaboration where we can actually work together and give our consumers the best health care that they can that we can offer. So we're going to move forward to what services are offered. We're going to move forward to what services are offered integrated care. Well, what we do, we offer a comprehensive review of consumers' mental health, social records. We review mental health and medical records. Actually comes with a holistic integrated care approach. Another thing that we offer on referrals. As we are now, integrated care staff will assess the consumers of their home health status, number of comorbid conditions, the need for primary care. The integrated care staff actually coordinates that referral with the consumer. One of the challenges that we have is that our region so rural, so we may have consumers from Monroe, consumers from Bastrop, Jonesboro, it doesn't make sense to have one primary care clinic. It doesn't make sense to have one primary care clinic, and then all the consumers have to come to that clinic. What we're trying to do is increase access to care and each individual close to opening our primary care clinics in each individual facility. But there are also a lot of our consumers who already have primary care. So what we do is we work with their primary care provider and request medical records and review and work with that consumer. We tell them we're not going to replace their primary care provider. We just want to with primary care now. Consumer wants to get our primary care from us. We have to do that. Or if they maybe have a care provider or something they can't get in to see their primary care provider, or they can, it's easier to come to us. Then our goal is to be able to offer that drop-in medical care service with other primary care providers, work with the other primary care providers. Another service that we offer is we do an assessment. Another service that we offer is we do an assessment of social determinant health care. We do that with assistance with barriers to health care. With that, we assess and refer to some of the services that are offered through integrated care. Okay, so some of the services that are offered through integrated care, support services, again, that's the same for the current support services. assess their needs for appropriate needs. We actually help assist mental health consumer navigate the healthcare system. The actually definitely see the healthcare system is difficult to navigate, and it's probably more difficult for someone that may have a serious mental illness or intellectual disability. And look back at some of the things that may not take for granted because we work in healthcare, someone may not understand. We take for granted someone may not understand. So what we try to do is help them navigate that system.
So, lastly, what we wanted to talk about.
Lastly, what we wanted to talk about, and I wanted to give a couple of examples of things that we've done.
So,
how to contact us. So if you need if you are seeing a consumer and you see that they have a medical need, this is the way we can get them into our primary care program. My email address. My name is Fred Barnett. Let's get my email address. Dr. Tina Jones. Also, right now, our email address. And I'm also right now our main office here. I'm also our integrated care clinic. I'm listed for our phone. We're doing this presentation. The reason that we're doing this presentation increase the availability. We wanted to increase the availability of the established consumers for this health. A lot of the consumers, they've been followed by a particular provider, a counselor, one that has contact with them, all established. And currently what we're doing is we're just calling from the services. I think if they hear it, because they trust you, they'll be more apt to listen or to participate in the program. And so if you see someone that may have a medical need, just if you want, just mention to them about the program and tell them our names and just let them know when I call. And then when I call, I can say, hey, I spoke with our program provider, and this is our program, and then I can go through it. Our services. Just kind of some of the things that we've done. We've helped arrange, like I say, primary care appointments. We've got a consumer that's trying to get a neurology care, who's having trouble with their primary care, or difficulty getting their appointment. And so we work with them, we look at their insurance, we look at their network, and we coordinate it and we're able to actually get that person But that's a couple of the things that they have done. But that's a couple of the things that we've done to try to help our consumer, get the best health care and all the care that they can. We help arrange transportation, if need be, contact therapy, they help arrange transportation. Some of the services that we're open to offering in the future, drop-in lab, and we have a lot of things that we're going to do. I think the end goal or what we're thinking is how can we make the healthcare that we provide for the consumer. Another example I'd like to give how I kind of envision this really help is someone in contacted our tobacco cessation. The person that was helping them with the tobacco cessation saw a need. The consumer had a medical information. They emailed me consumer's information. I called the consumer. I spoke with them. I made the connection of, hey, this tobacco cessation person said the service. And we talked to her, actually got them enrolled in the program, got them primary care, and actually referred them to a clinic that their children were awesome. So really, I thought that was a really good thing, and that's why that really was a very good example of why we're here and why we're doing in closing, this presentation or this talk was really just to kind of give everyone a quick overview of what integrated care is. We're not integrated care, we're the medical component of integrated care. Northeast Delta as a whole is integrated. So we're just kind of reach out to all the providers. Just kind of reach out to all the providers, counselors,
organization that has contact with consumers. And if you identify the need for that consumer, you just let them know, hey, we offer this program, hey, we have this, that can help you. Let them know that either Dr. Jones or myself, we call them, that they may be more apt to buy into to agree to the program. And then once we sit and do an assessment, if they qualify, then we can get them enrolled. Improve. That's what we have for today. I just want to thank everybody. That's what we have for today. I just want to thank everybody for their time and have contact with someone. See a consumer or you have contact with someone and you feel that they need some assistance or need feel free to contact myself. Please feel free to contact Dr. Jones or myself. All right. Thank you. Reach out to us. All right. Thanks.
All right, I did give Fred a call, and the individual that he called and got involved in the integrated care system has made tremendous progress. He had a lot of dental problems. I can't even begin to describe, and I didn't know where to start. I didn't feel like starting with telling him to put his cigarettes down was really going to help. So at that point in time, Fred really made all the difference. And of course, it takes a lot of people and teamwork to make this all work and for it all to come together. I know how difficult it is to try to get your own medical service coordinated. For those of you that don't know, I recently had to have open heart surgery, and it was unbelievable. And I'm a nurse, but having to try to figure out what to do first and second, work with the insurance company, all of that is just difficult even for somebody that has medical experience. So this is such a blessing. Another important part of our integrated care system, of course, is our clinical supervisor. So I would like to introduce her at this time, Ms. Lavender Jones.
I wasn't brave enough to do the ramp. The old knees, as Mr. Proctor was talking about. I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to talk about clinical services and all the things that are being done. I want to first acknowledge we've had a lot of different people coming to our fold, the Northeast Delta fold, and I want to acknowledge some of the newer people with Mr. Barnett and Integrated Care. They just added an additional staff, Ms. Brown. Where are you? There we go. Also, we added most recently our newest clinic manager, Mr. Waters. While we were locked down in the pandemic, we added another clinic manager, actually two, Ms. Floyd from Bastrop, Kathy from Monroe, and our most stable senior employees. My voice is projecting, I'm sorry. Ms. Woods, who is not here with us, one of our most senior employees. Oh, not here? There you go, I didn't see you. There you go. Ms. Woods. And Mr. Left. We have a a lot of additional people, providers. I'm just gonna run a list down. Ms. Hopkins. Ms. Evans. Dr. Phillips, where are you, Dr. Phillips? There you go. Has been out, and she returned back. We have Ms. Saldana at Tallulah. Ms. Allen at Tallulah. Another senior employee, Ms. Cooper. Ms. Harris at Bassett, senior employee. If I missed you, do not feel that slighted. It is only because I could stand up here and call out everybody's name, because the ultimate issue is the clinical services staff are essential, like our masks. We are driving the mission of Northeast Delta. We are providing now integrated care, mental health, SUD, integrated health, medical. We are all driving it. What I was listening earlier to Dr. Proctor and also Dr. Baldwin, it is very important that we do self-care. I think we don't do it as much as we want to, and we're all focused on now the pandemic, Delta, Omicron. I'm in a Greek letter organization, so I'm thinking, oh my God, is it gonna be Alpha, Beta, Delta, Gamma, Epsilon, Eta, Theta, Beta? You know, and I am just kind of in awe of all the things that we have to think about now. Not just coming to work, but coming to work and who we're gonna see, how we're gonna deal with people, how we're gonna deal with our own families. Mental health is so important, but the whole person is just as important. I want to take a quick moment before I stop to highlight some of the things that we've done. Of course, Ms. Rogers discussed CART, which is very important, but we also passed AIP. So I want to say to Ms. Burns and Ms. Barrow and Ms. Kettle, AIP, we did that. And in addition to that, we had a successful independent peer review with LDH. We've actually had in the last 18 months, I think 3 AIP reviews. And we've had 2 peer reviews. We got one coming up in the new year. We're doing a lot of good work. And what I wanted to take a moment to remind everybody is not only are we doing good work, but nothing that ever ends up being successful comes without hard work, hard contemplation, and a lot of thought. Nothing great ever happens without enthusiasm. So while we are working hard, trying to maintain our families, maintain our clients, maintain our lives, we have to also try to maintain our enthusiasm so that we can continue to be great. As Dr. Sizer would say, we are planting trees that we will never sit in. Thanks a lot.
Let the church say amen. Church say amen again. Man, y'all having a good time? Y'all having a good time? I'm having a great time. It's great. Any chance you get to learn more about what you do. And I'm gonna take it a step further. Since everybody else did, quoting Dr. Montez A. Sizer, it's not just about what you do. It's not just about how you do it. Why are we doing it? Yes, sir. You gotta get at the why of the matter, Tally. Anybody heard that before? You gotta get at the why of the matter. We're not just doing this just for any old rhyme or reason. It's a reason we're doing this. It's a reason you're connected to this work. It's a reason that I do what I do from social media to our slow moving website. We're working on it. And to everything else you guys see. It's a reason behind it. Because it takes all of these things intentionally to do what we do to move our region forward, right? I'm not a mental health specialist, a grief counselor, a peer support, but in my department, what my team and I do, we can inspire hope, we can evoke change, we can touch people's lives. And Mr. Barnett left us out, but we can also be a part of that integrated care through messaging. And everything we do is communication, messaging. As you talk to your clients, what is that? Messaging. Those billboards they pass on 165/20, what's that? Messaging. Our mobile app, as it continues to reach more devices, right now we're Android only, so if you try to download it this morning on an Apple, you can't. But we're another step closer this week. We do some more paperwork to get a step closer for Apple users. What's our tenants? Greater access to services. That also touches my department. I gotta make sure that we are supplementing and supporting you all's effort to serve. And so you see mobile app, you see improvement coming to the website. And so we are part of that integrated care. We're part of that model. So don't forget about us. When you're doing your great work, it's on us to tell people why you're doing your great work. Amen? Amen. I want folks to know why you're doing it. Mr. Calhoun, why are we doing it? You know all the people you serve. You know how it's moving them forward, changing households, communities, neighborhoods, and so forth. I got to figure out how to tell people why you did it. So help us tell that why component. And we'll continue to be a part of this integrated care model and lead not just our 12 parish region, but our state. And I'm getting into Dr. Montez's side. As we go to state level, as we take the state, others will start looking at Louisiana. And as they look closer at Louisiana, they're going to find a William Calhoun, a Lavender Jones, an Avius Carroll who's not here. We're praying for her family during this time of bereavement, a Jennifer Purvis, a Janice Rogers, and each of you, so forth and so on, down the chain of command. It's not a totem pole, it's just a chain of command that we have here because we're all working and we're all a link in the chain. All right? That's all I got. I didn't put a presentation together. You know what I did? How many slides we done looked at so far? 70 something? So we got a slideshow. Everything you've seen, we've been integrated throughout. We've been integrated throughout. So, what we do.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, now we have some words from Jimmy Powell, Office of Developmental Disabilities. Jimmy, your turn.
Hello, everybody. I'm supposed to talk about developmental disabilities today, the department. I'm not a speaker, and I follow a bunch of preachers, so we'll be brief. Every time I think about thinking about this question this week, it goes with the holidays, having to go to Thanksgiving things and Christmas things, and seeing relatives and the inevitable questions. So what do you do? You can't answer that question. You know, there's so many things to say. I don't know what I do. I do a lot. But so usually whatever you say, most people's eyes just glaze over, and you can like, how about them Saints or something? Get out. But you know, the guilt ones, you gotta say, same thing I've been doing the last 20 years. And they were like, oh, okay. And they don't remember, but they're not gonna tell you. But anyway, I'm gonna try to tell you a little bit about what we do. I'm gonna go fast over the services. I'm gonna miss a few. But I want to get to the eligibility part, because I think when we're talking about integrated services, a lot of times we want to make sure we're a component for all the services that are up here, you know, that we've been talking about today. And people with developmental disabilities also need the same services. They need behavioral health, they need medical care, they need substance abuse or other addictive disorder help. And a lot of times different components, different businesses, different agencies, they're not equipped to deal with developmental disability population. I would definitely say a lot of the developmental disability population isn't equipped to deal with some of the other problems that people have. So let me just go through the departments and try to get focused here. I brought notes, but I forgot that. It's true too. One other thing I wanted to say before I get started, so I don't forget. But the people that I work with, developmental disabilities units, are some of the best people. I wouldn't have been in it so long if I didn't want to wake up and come to work each day, or most of the days. And I can say when I do wake up and don't want to come to work, it's not because of the people I work with. I don't have to. These people are self-driven. They care about the people they work with. They want to do a good job. They want to present well. They want to share the agency. And that makes it easy to come to work. And some days they're the reason I come to work, because I know they're going to need something today, or I need to be a part of it today, and I'll need to be at home just because I'm feeling lazy that day. So y'all heard it, y'all got witnesses, praise God. Don't let me go too long here. Okay, I'm just going to go kind of in order. Our first thing is entry. I'm going to jump back. Sorry, I should have made better notes. One of the differences in our office and other parts of the agency is we don't bill for what we do. We help people get to services that might bill through Medicaid and other things. We're not a billing component. We don't provide therapy directly. We help people find therapy and get connected to it. And we don't, we don't counsel. We don't pass out medicine. We don't do different things. I mean, I'm sorry to say y'all don't counsel, because I know half the time when you're answering the phone, you're counseling somebody for a half an hour before you find out, oh, you should have called a different number. But that's but we don't have that Medicaid component. We do have services that are partially funded by Medicaid, and they help pay salaries or reimburse things that we do for that work. But I just wanted to point that out to you. So the first thing we do is eligibility. You got to get in the system. You got to be qualified. Our system for eligibility requires, I'm not going to call anybody out, make y'all stand up. sometimes it can be a lengthy process and it's a complicated process. Even for us, we have outside help sometimes to discuss things, and we send people to psychologists. We have psychologists on our review team when we look at people's eligibilities. Sometimes it's difficult because we have a lot of different components. I'm gonna go through that last. But basically the entry team, they're our first line. They're telling somebody about every service possible. They're telling about services that we don't have, referring people to other agencies. They're doing evaluations, interviews, we're collecting, IEPs, psychologicals, psychiatrics, everything to try to make a decision on somebody's eligibility. And when that person leaves our eligibility unit, when they finish, even if they're not eligible for our services, they usually have a good idea of where to go next. Thanks to our staff being up on other services, and that's trying to always do that. But they could very well be directed to somebody else in our office. And we're kind of, I'm jumping around here, but we're kind of separated in our offices physically because we're in two different offices, but also we have our units separated that way for the time being. And so entry is considered part of the community services side of the office that I'm the supervisor of. And also in that is the next part I'm going to talk about, family support. That's the next unit we have. We're all in that building. And when I'm separating, the other side of the unit is the part that has Medicaid involvement with the waiver. We're the part that's only state general funds, Northeast Delta funds. That unit, sometimes we get people immediately right out of intake. They come in for entry, they're in a crisis. They may go straight from the desk of the intake worker to the family support worker. And a lot of times it's simultaneous because we know they can't wait until we get through our process. We start trying to help them now. But the family support unit has about $1.5 million that we use to 7 people who are in the unit. Hopefully I got that right. And we use that money for a lot of various things. We got family support stipend, flexible family fund stipends for children. Got 150 slots for that we do with monthly stipends for people with severe developmental disabilities on children. And they can use that money how they want to. We don't follow it, we don't track it, we just get the money because you qualify. And presumably people have greater expenses and they use it towards the care for the child. And that's not much. It's $258, but sometimes that makes a difference between somebody having diapers or somebody having their medicine or keeping their lights on that month. So it's an important program. And then the other part of we just lump it in and call family support, but they do a lot of stuff besides just that money. They help people find placement in residential facilities. They also direct people to other services. And we use it for, it's easier to say what we don't spend it on than what we do spend it on. The only thing we can't spend it on is something that has a title. Like if you can't buy your house, if you buy your car. But if you buy yourself a house and you need a ramp, we can put a ramp in. We can modify your bathroom so that you can have, roll-in shower or rails and things like that. Or we can modify your car so a person that's unable to drive a regular car can drive that car. It's a lot that they can do to make a person able to drive a car, which is totally with hands. There's mouth control, there's all sorts of things. So people get qualified and assessed, and there's a whole huge process to all that with assessments and things. Nothing's quick. We don't just say, here's the money. Have a nice day. We have people that do assessments and evaluate. During the entry process, people get on the registry for the waiver waiver opportunities. Y'all probably heard of waivers. Have children's choice waiver for people under 18. Is that right? And roughly 21. Okay. We got so many different numbers on different programs. We have supports waiver, which helps primarily with vocational and day habit. We have the new residential options waiver and new opportunities waiver. And those are larger programs with more money. It's all complicated, but we have a whole unit over upstairs in Foran that works with waiver certifications and reviewing plans and making sure people are getting the supports they need. And all that, I feel like I'm brushing over all that so fast because so much is involved. It requires a lot more than just getting a piece of paper in or reviewing it. I mean, we meet with people, we work through their problems, we stay on the phone and in person, we go to people's homes and do all the things that it takes to all aspects of the life. I mean, it's the things that we get involved in are more than you would want to be involved in your own parents or friends' life sometimes because of the detail that we have to get through to deal with the situation. So when I say they work with a waiver program, there's a lot to it. And providers and people not getting paid, staff and issues. And you know, we don't own any of those businesses. We don't get anything for it. You know, but we have to help people in all aspects of the program. So probably overstates that, but I feel like I'm understating what everybody has to do every day in our units. And they're busy people, and I'm glad that they're can keep up with it. And we also, it's kind of an outlier, but we have 2 people now working on part of it, but we do, you know, I talked about the family support working on placements. We have, we actually do the certifications for the placements in group homes around the region. There's about 500 kids in the region. And when people move in and out and around, we have to certify all that and approve that paperwork, solve those crises. And same with the nursing home. If you have a developmental disability and you need to go in a nursing home, our office has to approve that. You can't go to the nursing home other than a temporary stay without us, our office reviewing that and certifying that. We also, I don't know, it's died down some, I guess, with COVID, but we do the certified medication attended testing for the state as well, for people to be able to give medicine to the people we work with. They have to go through that. We don't train them, but we do the testing and certify. I wouldn't leave that too big, but that is a, oh yeah, we custody and court cases, I like that. But sometimes people get put in the custody in the state of Louisiana, or either they're contemplating custody, and we're involved in that too, as far as going to court and working with the different agencies and behavioral health, depending on what situation they're in. So I went, see, I told you this, that's why people tell us to leave there. There's a lot to do, and it's hard to say in a nutshell what we do. I'm sorry for what I left out. Don't hold it against me. But one of the things, one of the biggest problems that we have, I guess, is the understanding of what eligibility is for our service. And we do spend an awful lot of time redirecting referrals or explaining to people, I'm sorry, I know you have a problem, I can send you here, but we're not, they told you to call the wrong place. And a lot of the reasons is the word developmental. People miss the developmental part of disabilities because there's a lot of people with disabilities, and there's other programs for people at different stages of life. But for a developmental disability, that disability has to manifest itself before the age of 22. And it can be acquired, through an accident, or it can be through birth. But it happens during the developmental years and then causes either a physical or an intellectual disability. You know, a lot of people think if you don't have an intellectual disability, you don't qualify, or if you don't get Medicaid, you don't qualify for us, but ours is not on income, and you can also have a physical disability only. It doesn't have to be an intellectual disability. But it does have to occur during your developmental years. I mean, just for a harsh example, if you're 21 and you have a car accident and have brain damage, you fall in our system. If you're 22 and have the same accident, we can't serve. And we can't change those rules, or we can't make exceptions. You have another program for that with the Office of Aging. And everybody always calls it Office of Aging, but the last two words are and adult services. And so that's for anybody that is over age 22 with a disability. So it's severe requirement typically, and it also has to. Another thing is people don't automatically qualify. And I have I just told somebody about him yesterday. I lost where I was going. You got to have substantial functional limitations in life areas like self-care, learning, language, mobility. You may have a disability, but if it doesn't have limitations in at least 3 of those areas, you won't qualify for us at that time. So, you know, people get frustrated. People need a lot of help, and sometimes we just can't make it fit. But we do our best to do that and err on the side of the person many times. The other thing that's complicated that I want to throw in there is if something occurs before 21, I hate to just throw out random examples, but I'll throw, here's polio. Polio can that's kind of random, but we have a person that had polio when they were a child, but it did not significantly limit them in the areas of their life. But as they got older, and it happens with cerebral palsy a lot too, as they got older and aged, the nervous system starts to break down, and then they start to have a lot more functional limitations, stuff that they didn't. So they don't have to qualify when they're a child, but they have to have an illness that occurred during the child years. And then even if they're 50, 60 then, and they suddenly, whatever they had starts affecting them, then they become eligible for our system. You have to present with the limitations when you come in for eligibility. And so some people, and that's new in the last couple of years, maybe 3 years, because before, if it didn't do it before 22, then we didn't get in at all. So we have a lot of people coming back to us that used to come back in the past. I mean, they tried to come before and couldn't. And it's good that we can help them. Even out, so the other thing that happens, children change so fast. So somebody may be eligible as a child, and but then because of all the different services that they have open to them, services we provide, services the agency provides in different areas and early steps, the child overcomes their delay. You know, both of my girls were premature. 2 months, and they used the early steps program. So they had, speech therapy and physical therapy and nurses coming and all that stuff. And they're in college now, and they're doing good. But kids age out of the program and stuff. But sometimes you have children, I guess what I'm saying, a lot of times things like schizophrenia or even depression and drug use, alcohol abuse, all physical abuse that people suffer cause them to have intellectual delays or physical problems due to all the damage that happens here, whatever's going on with them. And those people, I feel like I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but those people will not qualify a lot of times if it's solely attributable to like a mental illness. So oftentimes we'll have people apply that do have severe intellectual deficits, but they had they started off doing good and going through school and everything, and then at some point they had a mental health change. We can't make those people eligible in this program with those guidelines because it's not a developmental disability as far as the developmental period and growth, and it's affected by it now. So, and I know that's confusing, and it's confusing for us, and it takes a lot of time to do it, but I want people, a lot of times I'm going to do the presentation, we may have somebody refer their grandmother who needs a walker and different things. And people don't always fit in those categories because it's the developmental component that we need. So I just wanted to explain. I think I've used up more than my time. And I appreciate it. How about them statements?
We're all familiar with every couple of weeks, we get an email from this fellow, Dr. Kendra Bada, and we have to put our codes in. For me, it's really easy. I just have to put an X, tobacco treatment. I feel sorry for the ones that, like Jimmy, things are more complicated. But anyway, we are real happy and to have him helping us keep track of analytics and outcomes. He put together a pretty awesome report. I don't know if any of you read it all. I actually did. I found it to be very eye-opening and interesting and amazing that someone could take all that information and put it into such an organized fashion. So without further ado, come on up and let us know what's going on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, ma'am, for a very nice intro. It feels so good to be here and to meet all of you personally, since most of you are getting my emails every 2 weeks. You may want to ignore my email, but So I've got 10 minutes. Let me quickly jump into my slides and briefly go with Department of Behavioral and Primary Health Analytics and what we do. I am serving as the Director of Behavioral and Primary Health Analytics and working in collaboration with all of you. Analytics Department's main mission is to support the tenants of our agency by identifying the community behavioral and primary health needs, and through exploratory data analysis in order to determine the greater access to service. We support the tenants of our agency by evaluating policies, procedures, and methods for excellent customer care service. We analyze the data and put it in a report, and we assess the outcomes of our policies and programs for quality competent care. With good quality data, the reports or the analysis are unbiased. So our main goal is to inform the unbiased reports or to inform the unbiased results. So for that, we always try to maintain a high quality data that would reflect the consistency, integrity, conformity, accuracy, and completeness. As data quality begins at the point of data entry, so this is the cycle of data. We collect the data and then process it, we analyze it, and we publish it, reports and manuscript. So in all steps, we try to maintain the high quality data so that the results that we have is unbiased. The analytics department developed standardized tool to measure the impacts of agencies' programs and services. We oversee the data accuracy and validity. We prepare outcomes, reports, and in manuscripts. And we also present data and findings to local, regional, and national health conferences and to stakeholders. So this slide shows, we have a different database. So analytics department is also working to link different databases because we have, for example, for a customer, for a client, we have the client's information in different databases. So now we are working on linking those different databases to get full and complete information of the client so that we could analyze it. So let me quickly jump into the report, the statistics that we have in fiscal year 2021's report. In 2021, we provided around 12,600 services, including both billable and non-billable. And we served around 1,300 clients, unduplicated clients. So that reflects, your hard work and dedication. So currently, I'm working under the guidance of Dr. Sizer in a research project. So in our database, so mostly, the major portion of clients leave the treatment plan. So we're trying to find the reason or the factors influencing that why, what are the factors that impact the client's clinic visit. So the research topic that we are getting involved is the factors affecting the frequency of client's outpatient clinic visit. The patient may discontinue the treatment plan at any time, like I said, without getting discharged or without any clinical or medical advice. So the incomplete treatment may cost more in the long run, or it may add additional burden, or have no improvement on interpersonal and family functioning, which is more likely to be problematic compared to the treated individuals. Therefore, the main objective of this research project is to study, to identify the client population who utilize the services at different rates to tailor and target policy interventions. Here, the frequency of visit is proxy for service needed or service utilized by the clients. The graph shows the distribution of the visits and the number of clients on the x-axis. So in the horizontal axis, you got frequency of visit. In the vertical axis, it's the number of clients. So the frequency of visit ranges from 1 to 25. So there are like a lot of factors that influence the client's clinic visit, which could be the client's age, gender, income, employment, the chronic health condition, race, the transportation facilities, and the responsibility. Responsibility means like whether the client is determined or not, whether the client has goal or not, whether the clients are taking medication as prescribed or not. So I put it in a statistical model where the frequency of visit, Y is the function of the influencing factor. And the result shows that the male clients visits almost 17% less than the female clients. The literature says that the female goes through a lot of social and biological stress. Therefore, this is consistent with the literature that the female may need more care or, compared to male. The another results we have, the client living in an independent residential setting visits 13% more than the independent residential setting. So dependent residential setting here means the clients living in foster care, jails, prisons, hospitals, or inpatient clinic. We have also looked at the transportation facility for the clients. It shows that clients having difficulties in transportation visits less by 8%. And the clients with goal or the clients who take medication as prescribed visits 17% more than the clients who don't. So the analytics department try to find out a hole where we can tailor the policies and fill the gap in the society as we are moving to the integrated care. And the information that we got from you and from our clinics, and we analyze the data, and it would help to tailor the policies for our community. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. We are at the point where we give out awards, recognition. But first, before I start with that, we have so many new employees. And I want to start by departments. So I'm going to start with communications. If they would stand, all the communications. Okay. Fiscal team, where are you? Everybody's fiscal. Raise your hand, wave, so they can see you. Okay, developmental disabilities. Where you at? Woo! Prevention and wellness. Woo! Clinical services. Where you at? Where you at? Make some noise. Make some noise. All right. Compliance. We got a whole new crew in compliance. Let me tell you what this team has done. 3 years of proper accreditation. That's great for all of us. So we still have a job. We gotta work, gotta have that proper accreditation. So thank y'all, Ms. Rogers and her team. We appreciate you all. If everyone Dr. Ball and your team, just Dr. Ball and his whole team, a pivot team, where you at? Pip, where you at? All right. I think I covered everybody but my team. And because I like to show appreciation, I'm staying way over here, stay over there. I like to show appreciation for my team. I do something for them all the time. It's because if you don't, then your team will work harder for you. You know that, right? Give them a little something every now and then. They'll work for you, they'll work for you. So, with that being said, oh, you know, I gotta put my glasses on, can't see. It's like Merry Christmas and all that good stuff mixed into one. Dolores Harris, this is for you. Nice little check from Hill County Trucking. Chelsea Strange. And Miss Janelle Burton. Also, we also had some things made for them, and for Dolores Harris for our zero deficiency civil service audit. You can just stand over there with Dr. Sizer so he can take a picture. Pass it on. Dolores is a big part of our team. I know she's part of everybody's team. She is the go-to. So anything you need for regionals, you know you got to go through Ms. Harris, especially if you try to get some signs from Dr. Sizer. And Chauncey Strange, thank you all for making me look good. I love it. We ain't done. Just Harris, come over here, let Chauncey Strange, yeah, yeah. And Miss Burke, Miss Jamel Burke. All right, now these two are going to stay. Ms. Harris, thank you so much for everything you do. We appreciate it, but I do need the two HR people to stay. HR superstars is what I'm calling them, because that's what they are. They rock, I promise you. Chauncey Strange, HR Superstar 2021. Janelle Burton, HR Superstar. Now, before we get into all this, because they're going to handle that, I'm going back and sit down. During the CARP accreditation, we had two people from clinical services that came in and assisted Ms. Rogers, and we didn't recognize you all before, but Ms. Jillian Burns, could you come up to the stage? That's it. Get your job. And go take a picture with Dr. Sizer. Oh, we have a new interim OAD regional manager. Her name is Ms. Jessica Merrills. Clinical services is rocking, I'm telling you. They tag team. Tag. Y'all remember that? From Dr. Proctor's tag. You went up there, right? Thank you very much. Take a picture with Dr. Sizer. Okay, now, giving roses now, flowers now, we don't wait. We don't procrastinate. We want to make sure we take care of our team. And now it's on to the awards ceremony with Dr. Sizer. The Strange is going to handle that. Now, if you want to stand right there, we're going to start with the 5 years and work your way up to what we have. I'm sounding on.
But hold tight, Tom. I want y'all to know how difficult it was to earn a zero deficiency from the Louisiana State Civil Service. A zero deficiency. That's a testament to Tina Connolly and each member of her team, including Harris and the like. That's very difficult to do. So can we give Tina Connolly? And she did, and we did. And so I'm so proud of her and that team. And I'll tell you, if you want a good gift, talk to Tina Connolly. She'll get you an excellent gift. She did that out of the bottom of her heart, from the bottom of her heart. Those was outstanding gifts that she identified. So we just thank her, and we just appreciate her, what she is doing on our behalf. And all of the winners today has been outstanding. So to all of the persons who come before, all of the speakers, you and others, my heart is full. And I just want to thank you again for all that you do, because at the end of the day, we do it for the least and the lost. And it's for those individuals that we do it. So we try to do something unique, and there's no these delta days. So we'll stay. Now for the celebration.
Celebration. Mike, time award. That's the mic on.
And for y'all who don't know, strange, I like it cool in the building at the moment.
He freezes me every morning.
Strange to have it be 100 degrees in the office where I want it. So we're gonna do this like with Phil and Regis.
That's it.
It's Kathleen and Regis.
Kathleen.
Okay, we're gonna do it like that.
Okay, so this is the part of the program where we recognize service years with Northeast Delta Human Services Authority. First, we have 5 years of service, Becky Roberts. Y'all can do better than that.
Congratulations.
Up next, we have Angel Williams. We're gonna recognize her name, but she's not in the building today. But we do want to call her name, Angel Williams. Okay. All right, 10 years of service.
10 years.
Mr. Lawrence Harris.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. I always tell people I got better security than Barack Obama.
That's the real Secret Service. Right, look at this. Chauncey Strange. $15 years of service.
15. Wow.
Miss Annie Patterson. Thank you, Jennifer. Oh, sorry. Mr. Christopher Waters.
Surprise.
And this is years with the state of Louisiana, by the way. Joshua Williams. Moving on up, 25 years. Come on back up, Miss Jennifer Purvis.
Well, I can tell you, this has been one of my ride or dies for 8 months.
Linda Hodges. Andrea Woods. That's a long time. That's right, I was just a baby. Roxanne Warren. And Roxanne has 20 years, by the way.
And let's go ahead and decree it, and the mother of a future NFL player.
Yeah. Woo, 13 years. Andrew Fluke. And Mary Brooks.
How you doing, sir?
So one day I'll get to this point, one day. Presented to Ms. Willie Lutz, thank you for your dedication to NEDHSA and your spirit of kindness that you share with us each day. May your days to come be filled with laughter and joy. Congratulations to Ms. Willie Lutz on her upcoming retirement. Okay, now Ms. Burke is going to come up.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jamel Burke, the HR analyst here at Northeast Delta. And for the past 2 years, I've been honored to be the campaign coordinator for the Louisiana Charitable campaign. This year, we raised $4,642, which was $349 more than raised last year. So thank you all for participating, whether it was donated through general donations or if you participated in our special events that we had in the month of November. Thank you all so much. Also, I'm going to be presenting certificates for everyone that donated directly to the campaign through our Leo system. So if you guys do not mind coming up as I call your name, maybe we can get pictures for that as well.
He's ready.
Miss Amy Floyd.
Right behind you.
Call the next man.
Mr. Andrew Fluke.
All right.
Miss Christandra Moore. Mr. Christopher Waters. Ms. Dolores Harris. Ms. Gwendolyn Amlin. Ms. Jennifer Purvis. Ms. Kara Etienne. Of course, Ms. Gloria Pierce is not here with us, but she donated $2,000 to the campaign. $2,000. And Ms. Ella Gray also donated through Leo, but she is participating virtually today. And Ms. Tina Conley also donated. Again, thank you everyone for participating, and I look forward to next year's campaign.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We have all left on the agenda that you already see. I know y'all saw that big old mobile unit sitting outside. It's huge, it's purple. Y'all seen it? Okay, we get ready to reveal it and do our actual ribbon cutting for it. Dr. Simon, I'm sure you want to say some words.